Many books have brought with them a wave of new and pioneering ideas into the world, leaving people completely blown away with the concepts they create. The pamphlet Common Sense by Thomas Paine is a brilliant example of this, encouraging people to go against the crown. Vindication of the Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft is another, one of the first works to be solely focused on women's rights. Finally, a more recent one, Silent Spring by Rachel Carson. Rachel Carson's Silent Spring not only revealed the detrimental impact of DDT and pesticides, raising awareness about environmental fragility, but also ignited discussions on nature conservation and industry regulation. DDT stands for dichloryl diphenyl trichloryl ethane and was first made in the 19th century. After being created, scientists had no idea if it did anything useful, until a chemist from Switzerland named Paul Muller rediscovered it. Paul Muller discovered that DDT was a very powerful pesticide and could kill not just one kind of bug, but many. Scientists and chemical experts were soon discovering that though DDT had saved many lives in World War II, DDT had a negative impact on other wildlife and environment. These various findings were only posted in scientific publications, so for a time, the detrimental effects of DDT were virtually unknown to the public. That's when a woman author and former marine biologist got a letter from a friend imploring her to write a book about DDT. Her name was Rachel Carson. She was born in Springdale, Pennsylvania in 1907. For a scientific author, she had a love and skill for poetry. The letter easily convinced Carson to write the book. What Carson wanted to do was show the public the harmful effects of DDT to make the information accessible for all. The book was published in 1962. To quote the book, "Man's attitude toward nature is today critically important simply because we have now acquired a fateful power to alter and destroy nature. But man is part of nature, and this war against nature is inevitably a war against himself." Reflects the main theme in the book, that we now know we have significant power over the environment. It is what we do with it that could be humanity's savior or downfall. Anyone who read or heard of Silent Spring had something to say about it. Chemical companies, in rebuttal to Silent Spring, said something along the lines of, yes, pesticides could be dangerous, but the ideal was to use them effectively and safely. Not that just the book was criticized, but there was also many personal attacks from men in the scientific fields on Rachel Carson. In a review called Silence, Miss Carson, by Dr. Darby, American nutritionalist scientist, he says, "In view of the mature, responsible attention which this whole subject receives from able, qualified scientific groups, such as those identified in the foregoing, and whom Miss Carson chooses to ignore, in view of her scientific qualifications in contrast to those of our distinguished scientific leaders and statesmen, this book should be ignored." In 1964, Rachel Carson died, 2 years after her book was published. She had been struggling with breast cancer throughout writing the book, and it had ultimately taken her life. Her research with toxic chemicals may have contributed to how she got the disease, but we still don't know for certain. But she had left behind a seed that would grow to become a pivotal movement, even if she never got to see it. 8 years after the book was published, many, after reading the book, went to events and protests for the environment, including a week that started what is now known as Earth Day. In the first week, an estimated 1 million protesters attended or participated in any way. This period of Earth awareness in March and April brought a lot to the newborn movement. Through these months, President Nixon and his wife planted a tree, recognizing the first Earth Day. Because of these months of activism, President Nixon also created the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. The EPA's objectives were to stop damage to the environment and biosphere and simulate the health and welfare of men. The EPA is still going strong today. They have been cleaning up toxic waste, preserving the ozone layer, regulating auto emissions, and banning the use of DDT. EPA's achievements have resulted in cleaner air, pure water, and better protected land. Regulation of industry, awareness about Earth's fragility, planting the seeds of the environmental movement, and the showing of the harmful effects of the pesticide DDT were all outcomes of the book Silent Spring. After the book Silent Spring, our environment has slowly worsened due to climate change, but the understanding of our environment has increased greatly. More people can comprehend what we're facing. We have made so much progress from where we were before Silent Spring, and though the future is daunting, it would be even more so if Silent Spring hadn't been created.